Hi, everybody. I'm Gary Groob. Welcome to NLL Lacrosse Talk on Spanglish World Network, seen on Zingo TV, channels 249 and 250. Please remember to download the Zingo TV app at the respective app stores for iOS and Android devices. While you download, please make sure to rate and leave a comment. Both apps are absolutely free. Zingo TV is available on Google Chromecast, Amazon Fire, Fire TV sticks, Roku sticks, also available on all smart TVs 2016 and above. Now on Lacrosse Talk, let me introduce my guest this week, Hall of Famer Rich Kilgour. Rich, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me, Gary.
Oh, man, it's a pleasure. I spent years watching you at the Odd. I loved it, man. I loved the old mill. I loved all of that. But let's go back to the first question we ask everybody, and that's how did you get started in lacrosse?
I grew up on the Tuscarora Reservation. It's down by Lewiston, New York, kind of near Buffalo. And, everyone had a stick when we were kids growing up. And I made the short drive to Niagara-on-the-Lake over in Canada, which is probably like 15 minutes from my house. And we started playing at 5 years old. And I kept playing summers till I was 40. And then, that's how I got my start. And it was, I always tell this story. No one, kind of seems weird, but there used to be a guy on our reservation, Wesley Patterson, had Tuscaloosa lacrosse, and he used to make the old wooden lacrosse sticks. And my first job ever, when I was like 13, 14, was I bent the old wooden lacrosse sticks. So, I mean, it was meant for me to be a lacrosse player. And, that factory was 100 yards from my house, and my dad worked there. My mom strung sticks. So, well, yeah, lacrosse has been in me for a long time.
Right. That's the Tuscaloosa Crafts, was that?
Tuscaloosa Crafts, yep, and Wesley Patterson.
Right. Both parents worked there, and that's how you guys got your start and your jump, and away you went.
Yep. And, it was great because we just loved lacrosse. And when we were kids, there were no bandits or even NLL or anything like that. So, we just loved the game and got really lucky there. When we got older, the bandits came along.
Right. Now, you said you went across into Canada. You played for St. Catharines for your junior. Let's talk about that, because that was one hell of a team, and that Minto Cup in 1990 that put you all in the Hall of Fame. That team.
Oh yeah, that was a long time coming, because Randy Mearns, we just had a great team. There was all these guys from St. Catharines, throwing a couple guys from Niagara-on-the-Lake, pick up some other guys, and like you said, that 1990 team was really really talented. And it was crazy because we just got, like you said, we got into the Hall of Fame, and it just literally 2 weeks ago, someone sent me an article, and, Mearnsy did a great job of talking us all up and just how talented that team was. And I can't remember the exact numbers, but we played 20 games. We scored over 400 goals, and we held them to under 8. So we were beating people like 21-8. And that, in Junior A, you can't get someone to hit 20 anymore. It's just, the game has changed so much. And, we ran 3 lines up, back, and off, and we just ran, and we were terrorizing people that year. It was a really fun year.
Well, the telltale is also, you take a look at that team and how many people are in the Hall of Fame that were on that team.
Yeah, there was a bunch of them. I mean, like I said, I know Mearnsy, these are all Canadian guys that, are in the Canadian Hall of Fame, the Ontario Hall of Fame. Darius, myself, and Jim Brady, the coach. And like I said, it was just, it was a great little thing. And, it was funny. Me and Mearnsy always laugh because we played against each other from the age 5 to we got till junior. And, there was no love lost there. But then you get to junior, and you all get in the same room and find out these guys aren't so bad after all.
It's funny that way, eh? Only in lacrosse we figure that out, because half the year you're playing against each other, trying to kill each other. The other half is teammates. So it's the most bizarre thing, but it goes to the family of lacrosse, really.
Yeah, no, and it is. As soon as you walk in that, if you're part of that team, kind of all the things in the past are forgotten, and now you can start working for the same goal. And like I said, it was always fun playing against Mearnsy because he was the best guy on their team. Me and Darius were the best on that, so we did go at each other a lot. But then to start working together, and then it was great. Brady put us all on one line, and Darius led the league in scoring. He had over 150 points that year, something like that. Right. I was close. I think I had 120, a little right around in there, and Mearnsy had 110 or something. We were 1, 2, and 4 in scoring in the whole Junior A league that year. So that was 3 guys on one line.
Right. Talking about Jim Brady, like now as you're a former coach and probably still doing some coaching here and there, now looking back at his style of coaching, how much did that rub off on you?
Oh, a lot. I mean, he was a great motivator. That was back in the days when the coach could still tell you everything you did wrong and call you a couple names and maybe grab your face mask or something. And Jim was really intense. And I always, Niagara on the Lake, we had 11 players every year. We were just, scratching for players. And so it was kind of, it was a little different kind of coaching we had in Niagara on the Lake. And then, like I said, he was very intense. And I learned a lot of stuff from all the coaches I had. And Jim was just, like I said, a great guy. He knew we had a bunch of talent. He just let us go out and have fun. And at the same time, everyone thinks he just rolled the ball out with a team with all that talent. But there's the most talented team doesn't always win. And Jim was good at putting people in their places and keeping them there. And then, like I said, if you screwed up, he let you know right away.
Right. Now you move on from junior, you go into MSL. Now, what a career. What a career. We're talking about 5 man cups playing, another couple coaching. Let's start really from the beginning. You were in Brampton before Six Nations became a team, and a bunch of Excelsiors went to Six Nations once that happened. Let's talk about the Excelsiors first. I happen to be wearing one of those shirts for you.
Yeah, the good old maroon and gold.
Absolutely. Let's talk about those original, early 90s Excelsiors, right in the legacy of that organization.
That was probably, it was just like junior. That team was so talented. You had Tavares, Beltman, Cordingley, Darris, Patty Coyle, Bill Geary in net. I mean, and then, there was a ton of guys that are, kind of legendary in the Ontario League. Not a lot of NLL fans won't know them, but that team was stacked. And I missed the first year because the first year of the Bandits, I tore my knee. So I missed that summer, and they went undefeated in the regular season and only lost one game in the playoffs. Then the next year, we lost one game in the regular season and I think 2 games in the playoffs. So over the course of 2 years, that team was like 50-something and 4. So that was, in senior, that's a pretty crazy run.
Oh, yeah.
And like I said, just the talent all over the place. Like, it was tough to get on the power play, tough to get on the man short, but like I said, it's great when you have a really talented team that really only cares about winning. No one cared about individual stuff. All we wanted to do, man cup was a goal. And, that's, like, again, you got to have the talent to do it. But, at the same time, you do have to go out there and finish it. And, we had some great wars with New West. And, that kind of started it. And like you said, then we end up going to Six Nations, have to play them a couple more times. And those are some great battles.
Right, and you just missed really another Man Cup just by a sliver because of some injuries, yourself and Darris included.
Yep. That's the first year of the Bandits. I tore my ACL and I was out for the year. And Darris was on that team. He was a rookie, and like I said, I went and watched him play a couple games. They were so stacked. And then coming back from my knee, I was like, man, I hope I can make this team. But yeah, I got myself on the squad, and that was a great 2-year run in Brampton. And like you said, a bunch of us went to Six Nations and, had another good 3 years.
Yeah. And then my question to you on the MSL is this: what is the difference between it now and then? Then it was a prestige. Now it's almost cumbersome. Oh my God, we got to play somewhere.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have that same mystique to it, yet that's still a Man Cup, still a Stanley Cup of lacrosse.
Yeah, because even early in like the NLL years, the Man Cup was still way more important to almost every player, where now I think it's kind of shifted the other way. And it's, summertime's rougher, it's meaner. And, back in the day, like, you didn't switch teams too much. So, you got to, again, just a healthy dislike for some people on the other teams. You played them 4 times a year, and then you see them in the playoffs 7 or, 5, 6, 7 games, whatever it is. And that was the old days, up, down, and off. You'd see the same player every time. And, like, you were not on each other's Christmas list. That's for sure.
No, not at all. Not at all. All right. We talked about the Bandits. Let's talk about the Bandits. 1992, the Bandits become a team in the MILL. Now, when Darris was on, Darris described the MILL as the Wild, Wild West. And that's true, because I put up a lot of retro games. I was able to inherit Bill Fox's collection of VHS tapes, and I've been converting them and putting them up on our All Across All the Time YouTube channel. and a bunch of them are your games from Mill and some of your old Bandits games from NLL. These games here, what would get you a 5-game suspension now was a change of possession back then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On the
Let's
other
talk
way.
a little bit about some of the days and some of the stories behind that league and it getting its grassroots and its foundations, and you guys getting a feel for really the first real things of box lacrosse in years.
Yeah, that was like Darius hit it right on the head. It was a wild, wild west. They try to combine like box rules and the field rules. You could hit within like 3 yards of a loose ball, and you said it right on. And like what would get you probably a pretty good suspension now was like just part of the play and running each other into the end boards. It was rough. It was mean, and kind of the same thing. This was when it was kind of we were the first almost all Canadian team. And we took our licks there the first 3 games, but then once we figured out the rules a little bit, and we went on that run of 22 games. So back then, like you said, it's still kind of crazy. Because I see some tapes and stuff, some old stuff, and man, there was so much high sticking and dirty stuff going on. But that's the way it was. You were ready for it when you went out there, and it was. It's funny too. I think of it like I watch old basketball clips all the time, and you see the '80s, like some of the fouls, like you said, would probably get you a half a year suspension. Nowadays, you can't touch anyone, you can't do anything, which again, I know it's better for the athletes, but I also think the fans appreciate it when 2 teams don't like each other, and everyone's got the hair on the back of their neck standing up.
Think about it. When do fans stand up the most? It's not for a goal.
No,
it's when 2 guys are freaking it out.
That's what we used to say. There's only 2 times: a goal and when there's a fight, and that's the only time everyone stands up.
Well, you get the Buffalo and Toronto dislike. You just take a look at even preseason games.
Oh my, yeah, that 1 in 6 nations that one year. I was coaching at that time. Yeah, and like you said, preseason, and but they took our crown there for a while, and we wanted it back, and boys will be boys.
Absolutely. Now, looking at well, we talked about comparing it to today's game, in which really there is no comparison to what you guys had to go through back then to now. But a lot of the things that they're trying to get now, you had already. You had ESPN. You had the big arenas. You were playing in the Memorial Odd. You had some, the Boston Garden, the Spectrum. So all these things were there and then kind of went away, and we kind of went backwards, and now we're going forward again.
Yeah, and that's lacrosse. It kind of ebbs and flows, I guess. I just wish we could get a major sponsor, you know what I mean, to really, because I say this all the time when I do these interviews, that I cannot imagine how good the game, how much better it would be if these guys could practice more than once a week.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I would just love to see these guys be full-time. And like you said, we've had the ESPN and stuff, but it just never gets any traction in the States because, I don't know, I think they like field lacrosse a little bit better, like all the money down here. And, look what Rabel did. He was smart. He got NBC or whatever they're on now, and that league's doing great. You know what I mean? I would love to see like the Bandits get on something big like that, or I don't know how you do it, because like I've seen, from 92 to now, I've seen every angle, try this, that, you know what I mean? Make it rougher, make it cleaner, make the nets bigger, do all this stuff. And they just can't seem to find a way to get that big TV contract, which I think would really make the league go to the next level.
Right, because looking at the ESPN contract that just came out the other day, and I didn't see the Wings on it. I didn't see the Philadelphia Wings on any of those games. Like, how do you miss out on one of the original teams? It doesn't make sense to me on that.
And they still get good crowds, you know what I mean? Like you said, they're starting to come back. They were selling out our first, 5-6 years in the league. Then, like you said, just like the Bandits kind of too, we had that little downturn for a while. And again, you know what? Winning cures everything. You start winning, absolutely. And all of a sudden the fans come back, and it's not sad. It's the way pro sports are. So win if you want the fans there.
Right. Well, I was there for the win back in June, I guess it was, and 19,000 people, and that horn has got to be one of the loudest I've ever heard. I could barely hear it when it went off at the end of the game. That's how loud it was in that place. The floor was rumbling in the press box.
Yeah.
Yeah. A little scary, when you're up in the roof and the floor is rumbling.
Like you said, 19,000 people, and Buffalo loves a winner, right? The Bills and the Sabres, they keep coming close. We just can't get it done. Bandits get it done here every once in a while, and Buffalo just loves them. Like you said, I remember in the old odd when Darius scored the game winner, and was it 93? Same thing. We watched that tape after the game, and you could see the camera was shaking.
Mm-hmm.
because Derek scored with what I think it was like 20 some seconds left. And I mean, that place went nuts. And this year was kind of cool. They knew they were going to win, and you could just feel that energy building and building towards the final horn.
I loved that building. The Odd, I loved that building. I loved going to it. Yeah, it was a junker if you look at the luxury things that we have now. But to watch a game and have that ambiance, Philadelphia, Boston, Toronto, Buffalo. Those were the four that come to mind. Those are the four I loved going to. I loved going to the Spectrum because I thought that place was insane. If you're cheering for the wrong team, you fight for your life to get out of there. Boston's the same. Buffalo, you know, craziness inside there.
Well, like you said, the old buildings were so steep. Like it really seemed like the fans were really right on top of you, or I don't know how to explain it. Like the old Odd, the oranges. That's what we used to say. If someone fell out of the oranges, they'd probably land on the floor. And it was just so intimate and tight, and like the boards were different. They had a little give to them. So you run someone in the boards are swaying, the crowd's going nuts. Like you say, the Spectrum, everyone, I used to love playing there. They were so mean, ignorant. They, know every stat about your mom, dad, your aunt, cousins, and they were the meanest, but it also, it motivated you. It was fun to play there. Boston Garden too, like you said, we got all these people swearing at you in that Boston accent, and it was. I know the one time too, Bartley was still coaching. We went in there, and he comes in, he goes, "You'll never believe this. They got a metal detector out there, and they confiscated like 6 guns and 10 knives." I'm like, oh, all right, our kind of crowd, I guess.
And that place for you guys to play was even tighter of a floor because it was a smaller surface.
Yep. And it was like, again, it was fun. Those old buildings had character. I mean, now I just look at them, they're all kind of like cookie cutter.
That's exactly it.
Built for, the guys who have the boxes and stuff, where, back in the day, it was kind of, and again, we were, we were marketed different back then too. We were a beer league, and they went more after the 18 to 35-year-old men. Now it's more of a family thing, which is better too. But, they sold us on big hits and beer back in the day, and we loved every second of it.
Absolutely. And the short glass, that was the other thing. Now all the glass is this tall, and it's fun screaming through a pane of glass, but that doesn't mean anything. When the glass is over here and the drunk guy is over here trying to scream at you, you get into the flow of things, and so do they.
That's a Spectrum. They had the short glass right behind the bench, and they had the short glass right behind the penalty box. And believe me, when you got a penalty, I don't know if you remember that guy Chopper from Philly.
Yep.
You got a 2-minute stand-up comedy routine while you sat in the box. You never wanted them to score on you, but it was like, oh, I almost hope they score 10 seconds into this so I can get the hell out of here.
It's funny because we had Jay on the show at one point, and without his paint because he's retired, and apparently they got rid of him from one of the games. Like,
really,
he didn't cross the line, but apparently, in the new NLL, that this just wasn't. It didn't make any sense, and that kind of took the steam out, and he was already retiring, and it's so Chopper is the way the dodo now. But we have a few around the league. We got I think Travis in Saskatchewan still gets to know the players when they come to the box.
Yeah, oh, and again, I liked it. Some people don't have that thick skin or whatever, but I always enjoyed it. I'd talk back to them. They always say ignore them. Nope, I ain't ignoring you. You want to say stuff to me, I'm going to say it to you. Maybe I'll squirt you with a water bottle.
They give you a full water bottle, so there's always the rebuttal.
Yeah,
there you go.
That used to be the trick. Try and get his Chopper's makeup to run.
Oh yeah. Now some of the players, the goalies that you would play against, the Dallas Eliaks, the Marty O'Neills, the Salacasios. Did you have to change your style for the different goalies of the era? Because man, these guys were something else. Like Eliak, complete reflex goalie. So there wasn't anything, and plus he'd come out, he'd chase you down the floor.
Oh no, he'd get involved. And again, Dallas was another fun guy to play against. He played with some emotion, and every time we scored, we'd tell him how bad he was, and every time he stopped us, he'd tell us how bad we were. So, but yeah, like you said, back in the day, there even Marty, Dallas, they were all more reaction goalies, like you said. So those guys, you would have to fake a little bit or trying to get them to lean the wrong way because they were so quick, they'd always seem to get back to it. Where Lacasio, he was just a big blocker. He was just a big guy. There wasn't much net to see or shoot at. So with him, you didn't worry so much about fooling him or anything. It was more about hitting a spot. So, even back in the day, we did some scouting, and, if a goalie can't see his feet, he probably can't stop the ball by his feet. So if some of those guys were a little bit bigger back in the day, and we'd have a little where's his weak spot, this and that, but every goalie was different, and usually had to try a little bit something different on every goalie.
It's funny you bring that up, man. When I was talking with Dave Durrani, one of the things he said, I never understood why people, when the shot clock's running out, throw it into the corner, throw it at the goalie's feet, especially early in the game, because if he's not steady, that's him.
Yeah, you never know. Hey, give it a shot. Like, you're definitely not going to score if you roll it in the corner. I mean,
yeah.
If you throw it at the net, you never know. I've seen a goalie get hit right in the belly and go off his knee pad and go in the net. So you never know. I'm with him. Fire one at the net. You never know what might happen.
Yeah, anything can happen, right? Isn't it Gretzky? You said you miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Yep, that's a when in doubt, shoot.
Now, again, when we're talking about coaches, we talked about Brady. You had Buff McCready when you first started in Buffalo. It went on to Les.
Uh-oh. You froze up on me there, Gary. Gary. Oh. Hey, Gary, I lost you.
I'm just trying to get on. I know my internet went crazy for a sec. But
okay, just want to make sure it wasn't something I did.
No, not at all. I'd love you to talk about some of the coaches that you had: McCready, Bartley, Darris, and I will get Eduardo to get me back on screen.
Okay, so you want me to just talk about them?
Yes, please. That'd be great.
Okay, yeah, like you said, Les was our first coach in Buffalo, but I also had him as a coach in junior. Brady was there my first year. Buff had us the second year. Then Brady came back. So I had known Buff before even going into the Bandits, and he was a great coach. He was a player's coach, and he was a great player, goalie. He used to go out, score goals, fight, and all that stuff. He was awesome, and you really respected it when he said something because he had played and lived it. So it was really great playing for him. And then, like you said, Bartley came along, and he was the first one to kind of like get us organized and maybe do a little bit of offense, defense. Because when we first started the Bandits, it was 5 up, 5 back. And, he started to sneak our D guys out the back door a little bit more and let them get their shifts down there. And then that really evolved in when he went to Toronto. So he was kind of an innovator in that stuff. I mean, everyone kind of did it a little bit, but he went full on OD, and that really changed the game. And then, like you said, I had Darris, who was just he's my younger brother, and then he was ended up being my coach, and it was a really, really special time because I liked the way he coached. He just held guys accountable. He was in your face without being too mean, but you knew exactly where you stood with him at all times. And then he kind of invented the pressure defense. You know what I mean? He brought that in, and we started doubling down in the corners and running people into bad spots. And, where before it was kind of pack it in and kind of wait for them to do something. And Darris said, no, we're going to attack them and let them get on their heels. So, it was crazy. You got two guys that kind of changed the game here and there, and I got to play for both of them. And like I said, I learned a lot from everyone who coached me. And it was, that's what you got to do. You learn a lot more with your ears open than your mouth.
Absolutely. And it's funny because, again, when Darris is on, he was talking about character of his teams and who he would look for. And most of the time we go to the get it because where he felt.
Yeah, no. And like you said, Darris is my brother. He was a coach. I was a captain, and it's a culture. And I knew, I had to be honest with the guys and straightforward, no matter how hard it was to tell them, or, sometimes telling people the truth is a hard thing to do. And it was, Darius would, he kept me honest. And like I said, he would, I would just echo what he said in the locker room. And, at the same time, not every player is going to like every coach. And I would just try and make sure the guys know if they, Darius rubbed them the wrong way or, did something that they didn't like, they could come talk to me a little bit and I could talk to Darius for him. And it was just a great combination. And it's the same way, like when I was in Six Nations, I had Sid Smith as my captain. And that guy was a great captain. So it was, it really is a culture on trying to keep your message from coach to captain to players in line. Oh, you there, Gary?
I'm here. My internet's doing some really weird stuff today. I have no idea why.
Yeah, no problem.
One of those days. So we'll keep doing it this way, and I will get myself back on here. Don't worry.
Oh, okay, perfect.
My apologies for this. This like never happens.
Yeah, no, it's got to be me because I screwed up there earlier. I'm sure it's a karma coming back on me.
I doubt that. But like I say, we were talking about that particular time. Now you were part of all the championships, even the last one, basically being part of the organization. What was your favorite?
The favorite was definitely when Darius had the game winner that year, 93, I think it was. Because, it was, I missed the championship the year before because I tore my knee halfway through the year. Came back. I was still, a step behind, but, kept getting on the floor. And, we ended up in the championship game at home in Buffalo and, real tight game. And I had a pretty decent game for the year. I had a kind of a rough year, but I had a good championship game. And then Darius scores the winner. So that one goes down in my book as my favorite one. And, that, and again, I told you the camera was shaking. That was the loudest I ever heard the odd. And it was, that was a really special night.
Hey, good timing. It was. I would say that the 2008 team is probably the closest thing that I've seen to, just immaculate. That team had everything. It had toughness. It had scoring. It had goaltending. It had everything. And, of course, it had a championship to go with it.
Yeah, and that team was, we were in the championship, I think, we won in 08. I think we were in the championship in 06 and 04. So we'd been knocking on the door, and, it is just finding maybe that one or two piece that's missing. And it took us a couple of years, but we figured it out. And like you said, we were, JT led the offense, and then Billy D, and, we had a nice McCready in the back door and great goaltending, and you put it all together, and, it added up to a championship. And like you said, it was a long time. I think the last one was 96. So
right.
It'd been, 12 years and knocking on the door and, getting frustrated. I'm getting near the end of my career. I'm like, God, I just want to get one more. Can I just get one more? And then again, Darius coach, I'm captain, got to do it again with JT. And it was, just a really, really great year.
And your captainship, you had 12 years as a captain. Your leadership on the floor really was second to none. You led totally by example. If you had to drop them, you dropped them. Just need a goal. Loose balls, put your body on the line. Absolutely anything. And your team followed because of the leadership that you had.
Yeah, and that's what, what I mean? Like, I think the really good leaders, they don't like, I'm going to go out there and be a leader. It's just, you go out there and play hard and give an honest effort, and the boys respect that. You know what I mean? And then, like you said, I'm a bit of a talker, and I think some, and that's, you can never be selfish as a captain. You got to put everyone else first. And that's what I try to do. And I think the guys respected me, and I know I respect all the guys, no matter how, whatever teammate was that year, we were buddies, and that's it. You're on my team, and, we're the same tribe, and it's us against the world. And that's all we try to get across to everybody. And like you said, and if I'm willing to drop the gloves or go into the corner, then everyone else should be willing. And, and it was great having JT too, because you got the greatest player in the world. And he was another one. He dropped the gloves, go in the corner, and he could play defense, give, take. And he was another one, just lead by example. He wasn't much of a talker. He didn't have to be.
Well, that brings me to that story that I wanted you to bring up. It's still Mill, and Tavares is in the crease, and I believe it was Marty O'Neill that was roughing him up, and somebody, lo and behold, just out of nowhere, poof, there goes Marty.
Yeah, that was me.
That's standing up for your teammate is what that is.
Yeah, and it was funny because that was the end of our 22-game win streak. And JT did. He dove a little late, but he didn't even come close to Marty. Marty went and punched him in the back of the head. Then I think Darius chased him behind the net. Bob Hamley gave him a shot behind the net. And there was like 1 second left, and we had started coming off the bench. So we were kind of jogging down there to see what's going on. And Marty popped out the other side, and I was kind of, coming at a good speed, and I couldn't stop myself. I did it, and I felt bad for that one because seeing the replay, he hit his neck right off the boards, and me and Marty ended up being teammates later in Six Nations, and he used to rub his neck and tell me he thinks of me every time it rains. But like I said, it was back then. It was plus what do they say? You might beat us, but we're going to beat you up. That was kind of our mentality back then, and I am not saying it was right, but we had a bunch of guys who did not like to lose, and that's a good thing.
But nobody took liberties, man, because if something happened, this always comes up, right? So
a
lot of the cheap shots that would happen elsewhere didn't happen against the Bandits.
No, you had to be pretty brave to cheap shot one of our players because there'd be 7 guys waiting to get you. Like you said, after I hit Marty into the boards there, I turned around, threw my gloves down. I knew what was coming. And what the weird thing is? No one got to me. All our guys tackled their guys, you know what I mean? And I was like, and that's what I mean. It was just great to be part of that. You knew you could go out there and maybe be a little frisky, and you didn't have to worry about it because everyone had your back.
Right. Now, we talked a bit about Darius, but you also had your other brother, Travis, playing there as well. So, like, the Kilgour clan was playing. And it's probably why you guys are known as basically the first family of lacrosse from the res.
Oh, yeah. No, and that was another great one because me and Darius are like a year apart, or like a year and a half. But anyway, in sports and school, we were a year apart. Trav was like 4 years younger than me, so I really didn't get too much playing time with Trav. He was just too many age groups below. But then he ended up playing junior A. He got pulled up as like a 15-year-old or something. And that's the first time I got to play with Trav for real. And like you said, it's just awesome to think of us 3 guys running around in the backyard, just goofing around with lacrosse sticks, and again, never knowing there's ever going to be an NLL. We'd be out all summer just whipping the ball around. I think Trav became a left-hander because me and Darius needed someone to go down on the crease to work on the quick sticks with. So it was, he filled out our little make-believe power play out in the yard as a lefty, and it was just great. Like I said, you grow up with these guys and then get to play at the highest level of lacrosse with them. It was, you didn't think it was ever going to happen, but it did, and it was just a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm. Now, the career is over playing, and you transition into coaching. How did that start? What was the first, hey, did you feel like coaching? And off you went? Or how did you get involved in coaching?
I actually kind of was getting ready to take a year off. Then the local community college, actually, the guy who was like the athletic director was actually a coach at my high school. And he asked me, if you're not doing anything, well, you want to start a program. So I was like, yeah, sure. I love lacrosse. I wouldn't mind doing that. And then after, like, Darius had his coaching staff already set that the year I retired. So after that, there was an opening, and he's like, what do you think? I'm like, sure. I love coaching. So Darius gave me the call. I got my start, being defensive coach for the Bandits, and did that for the next 9-10 years. So Darius got me my start in that.
Right. Now, you're talking about Niagara County Community College, which you had about 5 years coaching there, and that actually ramped into doing the Iroquois Nationals. Now, with that team and all the political nonsense that goes with that, again, when Darius was on, one of the things that he brought up, and I think now that it's the Haudenosaunee team, I think it's been addressed. Instead of just Iroquois, because there's so many different tribes and so many different things, to have one umbrella, to have everything to be sovereign and unique, that the rest of the world goes, yeah, that's it. Because otherwise we're going to go through this every single time where some naysayer somewhere says something which is retarded. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, no, and it's really sad because it's been going on forever. When they first started box lacrosse and field lacrosse, the natives were, beating everyone. Then they outlawed natives from even playing. So, it's kind of been, and again, I'm not saying anyone has ill will or any, I understand it's, like you said, political BS, someone trying to make some points here or something. We have the talent to put a team in any tournament they want to run in lacrosse. And so why shouldn't we? We are a sovereign nation. I just, like I said, I don't like getting involved in that because that's above my pay grade. I just want to coach. But yeah, I don't like that. Every year they seem to come up with a new reason why they can't go somewhere or do something, or you know what I mean? It's just, I don't know. They've invented the game. Like they got enough talent to go and compete, and like I said, against any nation in the entire world. So just let them do it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Just take a look at the Worlds. Just take a look at the World Field Lacrosse Championships, how well they did.
Yeah, and I mean, you're talking like you said. I'm kind of glad they did change it to Haudenosaunee, but you know, you're talking the pool we draw from is so small, but it's so talented. And you know, I keep thinking back to that dang Syracuse one. Cody Jameson had tore his knee, so we didn't have Cody for that tournament, and we were within a goal of Canada there in the fourth quarter. And I, after the tournament, all I kept thinking was like, man, if I could have just sent Cody out there 2 or 3 times, that could have been a different game. But it wasn't meant to be, and we gave him a good run. And like we're going to get him someday.
Right. You know what? I think it's going to be sooner than you think. And now with Olympics, and what's your take on the sixes?
Don't like it, to be honest. I mean, I make it box or field, one or the other. And I like box more, but I think field might be a little more popular down in the States, so it's kind of tough. But I just think that's a hybrid of both, and it's just not. No one's gonna. I mean, I watched it; it was kind of entertaining, but it looked like pickup basketball. You know what I mean? I don't know. I wasn't a fan, but who knows? That's just one man's opinion.
My go-to with this is that once we get the eyes on it, like getting some format, any format to get it in the Olympics, now we can teach tradition. Once we get 280 extra countries looking at it and going, hey man, this is all right. All right, well, let me show you what it really looks like.
Yeah, no. And you know what? That's what I keep thinking, like, let field go into the Summer Olympics, let box go into the Winter Olympics. You know what I mean?
See, the other problem is a lot of the countries, I don't think, have inner arenas.
Yeah.
So it has to be out on a field, but it's not going to be full field. So you only need 6 players for this, right? So it's kind of, I guess they tried to mishmash the two of them together, and this is what we came up with. But then again, when I was at the Worlds, the funny thing was that, we've been so brought up with Rabel and his PLL ideas that I'm looking for the 2-point arc. I'm looking for the shot clock, and it can really drag on without a shot clock. And, that's pass for 4 minutes, right?
Yeah, when Canada won the field championship there, and they kind of stalled it. Like I would have did the same thing about Canada, but that game was absolutely painful to watch. You know what I mean? It was 5 minutes of passing, and then a shot. And again, I'm not taking away. That's what Canada had to do to win, and they won. But that's like you said, I would love to see a shot clock in field. I think that would make field a whole lot more entertaining.
Yeah, it would be a lot more fan-friendly. Yeah.
Yeah, I know they do it in the PLL, and you know what I mean? I think that's the best field game going right now is the PLL.
Mm-hmm. And it's also a little bit of a smaller field, but still keeping the generic rules that are there. So, and it never hurts to get the best players in the world playing it, right?
Yeah, that's probably going to help
always
a
makes
lot.
it work a little bit better, yeah?
Yeah.
On your coaching thing, did you have a different approach to the game now that you're coaching? You're assistant with Darius, and then you get the head coaching gig. And your approach as a coach, is it much different than as a player?
Absolutely not. It's all about getting guys in a position where they can excel and then just be good teammates. You know what I mean? Those Six Nations teams, we had a ton of talent, and we probably end up sitting 2 or 3 NLL guys every time. And that's the hardest thing about coaching is get everyone to believe and buy in, and then not get mad if they get sad a game or two. Because you know what I mean? That could get real poison real quick. And, you just try and make sure everyone's on the same page. Mm-hmm. And they're going to show up, give an honest effort. And, as coach, that's all you can do is preach about giving an honest effort and then rewarding the honest effort and kind of disciplining when they don't give it their all. So, and you got to treat everybody the same. I don't care if you're, the number 1 pick or the last guy on the roster, everyone gets treated the same. Like, if I'm going to make him run back, you got to run back. If he goes out and plays good, hard defense, you got to go out and play good, hard defense. So you keep everybody honest, and then everything kind of falls into place.
Right. Now, you've alluded a few times to, down, back, forward, back, off. Now with all these, Fogos, transition players, all this. Do you think that maybe we lost something in translation there? Because the more rounded players were you guys when you played, because you had to know everything.
Yeah, no, definitely. I wish they could. There was some rule they could put in that made you play offense and defense. I mean, it's almost impossible to enforce, but it just makes the game way more athletic. There'd be more goals. That's why there were so many goals back in the early days. You'd stay out there, run up and down, get someone tired. You had Marichuk back there playing defense. He's not a defenseman, but he used to have to run back. You know what I mean? And then you'd have D guys out there playing offense that, they knew their role, go set some picks and this and that. But everyone, like you said, had to do everything. You better be able to go set a pick, catch, and maybe throw one in the net every once in a while. And you better be able to go back, cross-check, and keep your guy in front of you. And it made for a more well-rounded, and again, like, look at the Bandits. They started running Dane out the back door a little bit. They let Byrne run back a little bit, and then they take off in transition. That was another thing Darris used to say all the time. It's a lot easier to score 2-on-1 than 5-on-5. So, when we pick up that ball, go. Don't, everyone thinks their D shifts over when you get the ball. No, you're not done yet till you get it up and over center as fast as you can. Like, put them in that situation, trap a couple of guys out there. But I just wish guys had to play both ways, and they all could. Believe me, if you're in the NLL, you could go both ways. I guarantee you.
Sure. Well, one of the best guys on Buffalo that was good for that was Steenhouse. He was able to, and when he got moving, and when he felt it that night. I'm in the midst of taking all the copyright problems out of the 17-point night. I have the disc. It's up on YouTube. I just got to get some of the music out since it was a video scoreboard thing, and YouTube and copyrights and there's a lot of songs played in those games.
Yeah. Mark was the real deal, man. And that guy, like you said, that guy, he could play both ways. He was on man short and the power play. You don't see that too much anymore. And like you said, a loose ball near him, he was going to get it. Like that kid was just unstoppable. And we had a really good defense. We went against him in practice all the time, and he was just as hard to stop in practice as he was out there against the other team.
Plus, he was, something for the fans because he was a character. And it's one thing we're talking about character of a team, but he was a character, and that's what people expected from him. And right down to the orange shoes. Now everybody's got them, but back then,
I hope we got $1 per wig, because man, there used to be 10,000 wigs out in the crowd every game. And like you said, I'll never forget. He showed up. We traded for him. He was in Columbus, I think. Shows up at the first practice in like a blue velour jumpsuit, like a track suit or something. I was like, who the hell is this guy? His big hair and all that. And then, he was so much fun. He was the exact same at practice, the games, talking to the people. He was just a really fun guy to be around. And he was a character. Character hits it right on the head.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But a lot of the time, that's what the Buffalo organization was known for. They had guys like Darris, they had guys like you, they had guys like Steenhouse, Tavares. Everybody was their own guy. One of the things that I think won them the championship this past year, that got them over the hump from the other times that they came so close and missed, was that there was no cockiness to this. Nothing. This was all business. They beat Rochester like a drum. It was 20-8 or something like that. They beat Toronto, which was supposed to be this close games. And oh my God, don't know who's going to get through. Well, they beat them like another set of drums, and you didn't see that swagger. You saw business as usual until that cup is there. It's business as usual. It wasn't like the year previous where it's a party, whatever it was. Yeah. And the Calgary one where loosey goosey all the way through. These times around, it was business, and they had to earn it. Like, yes, they were 14-4. But the difference was the injuries were something else last year. The injury bug was crazy, like main guys being out, and they had to go and draw into their depths, which comes down to, going back to when you guys were, drafting. You guys, Chugger, all these minds that found the McCulleys, that found the other guys to step in, that were able to take places and win these 1-goal games. Because I think when I did the outlook, it was 8 1-goal games, 6 by overtime, winning 7 out of 8. Well, that's a pretty good team.
Oh no, yeah. When the pressure's on, they came through, right? And like you said, I think they did realize, like, there is, and even as a coach, because I was there for the it's a party time, and To be honest, I didn't want any cameras in our room. I don't, that's kind of our private thing after the game. But,
Yeah.
I know social media is different now and all that. But, and then like you said, this year they seem to just, eyes on the prize and keep marching forward. And, Chugger, like you said, did a great job because I think before we started this little run, we missed the playoffs 2 years in a row.
Mm-hmm.
And, I think because Chugger, I always tease him, he used to GM Kitchener, right? So they pay guys with Subway and stuff like that. So he knows how to get the most out of his buck and finding players. And he did a great job of, and again, finding guys that have fit the system, like Matt Spanger. I think he was let go from somewhere. We picked him up and he's been a starter for 5 years now. And that's just Chugger, turning over every rock and, figuring out where he can get something at a, a good price. And then you have depth, like you said. Then when people do get that, you're going to have people roll their ankles and get hurt. Your top guy is going to miss a couple games here and there. But now you need the depth to, like you said, get you through that little part. And Chugger did a great job of that. And then JT is just a great coach. Like you could see it coming when I, even as a player, like he was just the smartest guy on the floor. He's a teacher. So I had a pretty good idea he'd be able to get his points across, you know what I mean? And he's another one. He's a player's coach. He remembers what it like to be a player and he treats them with respect and the guys all love him. He was, and I knew he was going to be a great coach and he's proven it now.
Right. Well, you guys were coach of the year together, right? Originally when he first
we were
the assistant.
Co-coaches. Yep. And then, I think we were both getting paid head coach money and they had to make a choice. So JT, Rich Kilgour, it wasn't that hard of a choice for him, I don't think. And, so, it is what it is. But I carry no bitterness. It was a great run and I had a great time in Buffalo to shoot 20 some years. And, it was a great run. And, I was with JT for every single year of those bandit years. So I respect the hell out of that guy. And I'm really happy he finally got that championship.
And to put the cherry on the sundae, the Six Nations thing this summer too, and a Mann Cup to go with it. Great year round, eh?
Oh yeah, that's not a bad year, right? You got both the major cups. Like you can't do any better than that. And like I said, there's a guy who deserves it. He's the greatest of all time. Never missed a practice. One of the hardest workers ever. Kept right on going. Like you said, you knew he was going to be a coach, and I knew he'd be good at it too. So, like I said, a big props to him.
Right. And we only have a couple of minutes left. And one of the things that caught my attention was a thing that Cody Jamieson had said about you. And you and Darius were reasons why he got into this and why he pushed so hard. And from the rest of us in the lacrosse world, thank you. Because, take a look at the career that he's had.
Oh yeah, no, and it's crazy. And I appreciate Cody saying that, but Cody's Cody, man. That guy's he's a stud. And I remember him telling, I think he was telling Derek, he told someone that, when we were the Niagara Falls Gambler, he was right in his 13, 14 age, and just really getting into it. And he said his dad used to take him to watch those teams, and he really enjoyed watching that. And it's funny, like I think we won that minnow in 1990 and 91. Then like 10 years later, I think Billy D, Mark, and Vince won one. You know what I mean? And I'm positive they grew up in St. Catharines. They were there watching those games. And it's funny. It's, kids see that type of thing and they oh my God, I want to do that. And you're not thinking that when you're out on the floor, but, to hear it now when you're older and, get your flowers before you're in the ground, it's pretty funny.
Yeah, it's nothing like having a wake while you're up in a boat, right?
Yeah, that's I mean, it's always got to get your flowers before you die, man.
Absolutely. Now, just before we sign off here, we talked about the league the way it is now. Do you think that we're in the right direction for this becoming full time, or do you think we need something? I know we talked about advertising and have that main advertiser, but my soapbox has always been to get it on cable because I'll watch it on a washing machine. But to get new folks and new people, one of my proudest moments was walking into a pub before last season or just in the first game, and it was on every single TV. And I thought, well, we're finally in the right direction.
No, I definitely think it's going in the right direction. Like just the players are now in just such awesome shape. They take care of themselves really well. Nutrition, there was no nutrition back in the day when we went there. We used to go in there eating hot dogs and Coke. And you know what I mean? Now these guys are eating right. They're, putting in the time in the gym and all that stuff. So I definitely think the league has been going in the right direction now for a while. This new commissioner seems like he's got his stuff together. And like you said, They just got to find this plan to get the, like you said, on cable, on something, like a Saturday night game where, everyone's going to sit down and watch their Saturday night game, something like that. And, I know it's such a great sport, tons of goals, tons of hits. You got to be tough, hand-eye coordination, in shape. People love it. If you get them in the arena, 9 times out of 10, they're going to come back. So
Absolutely.
I think that's a big thing and I've said this for years, they should grab a bunch of young guys in the off season, go do a barnstorming tour of the South and stuff. You know what I mean? And just let the young guys go in there and play real rough and mean, maybe, stage a couple fights here and there. Cause that's what happened in Colorado, right? They played after a hockey game. The people stayed around, watched it. It got a little rough here and there. And then Colorado went through the roof.
Yeah.
And, it was same like with us. Once people seen us out there, scrapping and big hits and playing rough. And I'm telling you, it's an easy ticket to sell once you get them in there. It's hard to get them in there, but once you do, it's pretty easy from there on out.
Absolutely. Rich, I want to thank you so much for taking your time on a Thursday afternoon to be with us and, talk lacrosse and go through yesteryear with us and, go with a bit of the future. And I love watching and seeing you around the arena still. I love coming in and having a few minutes to talk with you. So I appreciate it. Thank you again.
No, thank you, Gary. I love talking lacrosse, and you know what I mean? I might be long-winded here and there, but I love talking lacrosse, and guys like you are actually helping the game get where it needs to be. You know what I mean? Without guys like you pushing it and doing these podcasts and stuff, the game would not go anywhere. So you're much appreciated too, brother.
Thank you so much. This has been NLL Lacrosse Talk. This show can also be heard on Spanglish World Radio Network. Please check out SpanglishWorld.ca for all news and programming. Spanglish Sports World. Watch it, hear it, read it, download it, live it. Until next week, have a great week, everybody. See you next week.